What's going on, guys? Fun with Knives back again. Got a review for you today of the SOG Aegis. Like a lot of people, I watched Nut and Fancy's review on this knife long ago, and he was always raving about it. He loves quite a bit of SOG or SOG knives, and I thought it was time to introduce a new brand into my collection. This was a couple months ago, and I bought this from a nearby Cabela's, and I overpaid for it. Obviously, that's what you do when you go to a sports store like that. But I was so excited for this knife. I had the highest expectations, and this thing has let me down in a couple categories, which is surprising because it has a whole lot of features I absolutely like, and this is just a sweet looking blade. One of the coolest designs I have, I think. So I'm going to give you guys the specs, and we'll get into what I've been thinking about this knife. So we have a 3.5 inch blade, a 4 3/4 inch length closed, making your overall length 8 1/4. So a pretty large knife, not huge, but a big EDC folder, very hand filling. But your weight is only going to be 3.1 ounces. And that is incredibly lightweight for this size. So much so that it reminds me of this Manix 2 lightweight, where you have similar size knives around the 3 ounce mark, full flat ground, and that's kind of where the similarities end for me, because I'll talk about the blade first before I get into that. This blade here, kind of a drop point slash, it's a little bit of a leaf shape, 3.5 inches, just great length for this thing, full flat ground, excellent slicer, and look at that wicked thin tip. Very good penetrator on this one too. SOG Aegis written here. Nice black coating on this model. They do come in a satin version. I believe they have a Tonto version as well. Patent number there. So overall, guys, very simple blade shape, but very useful. I don't think they could have picked a better blade shape. Then your deployment here is going to be by these ambidextrous thumb studs. They are terraced a little bit for you to get some traction on there. Super easy to access those thumb studs. And then this features the SAT Surest Assisted technology. I'm not super familiar with this one. I know it's SOG's spring assist, but I haven't really taken this knife apart, disassembled it, and found out how it worked. But it's a very snappy action. You can even do it from the back like that. And I mean, it is just lightning fast. But the first thing I noticed immediately is that this knife is really hard to close, which is kind of weird for me. It's not hard to do one-handed, but you really got to pay attention to what you're doing, because I'll show you guys an example here. I'm really used to Kershaw SpeedSafe, and that doesn't have any tension on the blade until you hit the torsion bore right around there, and then your blade's going to want to flick back up. So if you disengage the lock here, very easy to do one-handed. This SOG Aegis with the SAT, it has constant pressure on the blade to be locked in its open position. And then when you get around here, there's a lot of resistance. It's not like I have weak hands or anything. There's just a whole lot. You can even hear it a little bit. It's just a little weird to me. It's not the most user-friendly thing in the world. And I was like, I'll look over it for now, give it some carry time. And I was kind of looking at the lock here. This is SOG's Piston Lock, I believe. I think it works similar to a plunge lock. I haven't, like I said, disassembled this knife, but I know there's something inserting itself on the top of the blade, hanging between that and the handle material, and that's locking your blade in place. And Nut and Fancy was talking that this is a lightweight tactical blade, and I don't know about you guys, if you guys own any SOG knives with this lock or this Aegis in particular, but mine has blade play all over the place. We're talking side to side and up and down, which is, it's absolutely terrible, guys. I hate blade play. It's a minor thing. Do I really think this knife is going to come, is that lock going to disengage out of nowhere? Probably not. But for the amount I spent on this, guys, I did get ripped off a little bit. It's not like I bought this off Amazon or somewhere where you can get it for cheaper. And maybe that's why I'm a little sore about that blade play. But it's just not something you should see in this price point of knife. And it may be my preconceived notions of SOG as a brand. I've never really loved the things that they've come out with. They definitely have their models that I'm interested in. But if they're going to be like this, they feel a little cheap, and they feel a little bit overpriced, and they're just not my favorite. I would rather spend the $50-$60 that this Aegis costs on a Kershaw or a Spyderco One thing I forgot to mention on that blade, this is AUS 8 from SOG. Apparently their AUS 8 is supposed to be really good. They heat treat it correctly, and then they do the cryogenic freeze process, I guess. And I guess it achieves the best you can get out of an AUS 8 just about. And it's performed really well for me. I have no problems with the blade whatsoever. It's just the closing and the lockup. Now, the real winning feature of this knife and this version in particular is the handle here. This is the Digi Camo version. Really cool. It looks a little bit Mall Ninja-esque. I know you guys hear that phrase all over YouTube, but it does. It's got black coated stuff, and then it's Digi Camo. You know, it's not like everybody's a poser, but it's supposed to be a cool tactical knife. Your hardware is black. You have these rubber inserts with SOG written all over them. Then you have these little areas of, I don't even know what to call that, just grippiness. And it works really well. You got some jimping on the handle material, which is some sort of FRN, you know, fiberglass, reinforced nylon, something. And that's why this thing is so lightweight, because there's no liners in there and no need for them. But the scalloping on the bottom of this knife, the jimping all over it, you even got some back here, and the jimping on your blade is really good. So the ergonomics of this knife, they're just superb. They're great. This thing feels so good in your hand. The reverse kind of hammer grip feels really good. And I can't complain about the handle whatsoever. The thickness seems just about right. Easy to carry, but still hand-filling. It's not like you're holding on to something really thin. I love this swell here. They could have left it nice and thin, and they didn't. They kind of brought this out. Makes it feel really good in hand. I'm sure this knife is fairly easy to disassemble. It looks like it's got some sort of Allen heads. Maybe those are Torx bits. Like I said, I've never taken this knife apart. One thing that's kind of odd on this one, you do have the safety, and if you engage that when the knife's in its closed position, you can't open it up. With a knife with this kind of assistive technology, I can see why that is on there, but I mean, like most people, I'm going to be carrying this knife like this in my pocket, where the seam of your pocket is going to be on the blade, so there's no way that's going to open. And then one thing I was so excited about, this is full closed construction. I don't know if I mentioned that. Fit and finish isn't fantastic, but for the price point, can't really complain. Is the clip. Everyone raves about SOG's deep carry clips, and holy crap is this deep carry. And I was so excited. I was putting this in my pocket, and I noticed as I try to withdraw the pocket, my pocket material was looping over on top of the knife. And essentially when I was trying to pull this out, because this is so deep carry, you really got to get your hand in the pocket to get around it. It was just kind of pinching all that material in there, and it's just not a very well designed clip. I would have loved to seen this just kind of come straight out from the bottom of the knife and then move over. Still would have been plenty deep carry for me. I don't need it suspended, you know, 1/4 inch off my pocket. I like the size of the clip. I mean, it says SOG on it. I mean, there's all sorts of branding on this knife. Overall, guys, I just don't like the clip. I don't like the just design of that loop over. And then another thing, my blade centering has been off since I've got it. I've messed with it a little bit. It cannot be fixed. So guys, this is kind of a longer review for me. I've already, you know, I'm going to hit 10 minutes pretty soon, I'm sure. But thanks for sticking in through it. Basically, guys, I don't think this SOG Aegis is worth the price I paid for it. And what was that, like 80 or so? Do I think it's worth the 50 or 60 what normal people pay for it, you know, on Blade HQ, Knife Center, Amazon, wherever you're gonna buy your knife? No, I really don't. Not with that, the lockup, not with the weird closing from the deployment. I think there's better $60 options out there for you, and let me give you an example here. The Kershaw Knockout, as I hit my hand with that deployment. This knife is 3 times better in my opinion and costs the same. I trust this subframe lock. I'll be doing a review of this one soon. Deep carry clip that's done correctly. Nice stone wash, good steel. I don't know how comparable Sandvik steel is to AUS 8, but guys, I don't know if you guys are huge SOG fans or not, but please let me know if there's something I can do about the lockup on this knife, because this doesn't get any pocket time from me, and I want to like this knife so bad. I love so many features about it, but there's a couple that are really keeping this out of my pocket and just in my drawer. And if these issues can't be fixed, and another thing to mention here, look at that clip. Carried this knife for a total of, you know, a few weeks, and that clip is already loosened up. It's hard to say that this knife is quality Is this a $35 knife? Yeah. If this was $35, I'd buy it in a heartbeat. So thanks for staying and watching this review, guys. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll have more knife videos coming your way.